Hello again, everyone. I'm Dr. George Simon, and welcome to another edition of the new Character Matters program, the program where we talk about what I consider to be the defining issue of our time, the character crisis that we've been in for some time now, and that affects every aspect of our lives. Most importantly, our intimate relationships, our most important relationships. In the absence of wholesome character, genuine love is not possible. And that's the short series that I'd like to begin today. A short series on the topic of why folks with significant narcissistic traits, significant narcissism in their character, cannot truly love. And in the process, discuss some of the reasons why folks enter relationships not appreciating this fact, unable to appreciate this fact, because they're unable to discern those character qualities in a person that make it impossible, or at least very difficult, for that person to genuinely love. If they knew that at the outset of a relationship, the relationship would likely not end in such heartbreak as it does so many times these days. So I'm going to begin a short series on the factors that contribute to narcissistic characters' inability to truly love. Today, I'd like to talk about an aspect of narcissism that gets a lot of attention in the popular press and on blogs, but is in many ways often flawed. So people end up getting inaccurate, inadequate information. Contrary to public opinion and contrary to a lot of professional opinion, narcissism is not a one-size-fits-all phenomenon. It's a dimension of personality and character, and it varies as to type and degree. And I've written many articles on this topic that are available to you free of charge on my blog at drgeorgesimon.com. That's drgeorgesimon.com. And I hope you'll avail yourself of those articles because they explain to you in much more accurate detail what the different types of narcissism are really like and what to look for, how to better discern, so that you don't end up in that heartbreak position that so many people find themselves in after a toxic relationship with certain kinds of narcissists. You'll also find articles on the character disturbances that go well beyond mere narcissism, where other aspects of character enter into the picture and make life with a person very difficult. So I hope you'll avail yourself of these articles. And I also hope you'll avail yourself of my 5 books, especially my most recent one, Essentials for the Journey. But today I want to focus on one particular aspect of narcissism, having to do with shame versus shamelessness. And there's a lot of misinformation out there because still, in many people's minds, especially in many professionals' minds, still the notion persists that in all cases of all types of narcissism, again, painting with a broad brush incorrectly, the assumption is that at the root of a narcissist's need to be seen as, or desire, I should say, more accurately, because a want or a desire is not necessarily a human need. But the notion persists that at the root of many narcissists' desire to be seen as competent, to be seen as perfect, to be seen as special, to be seen as important, et cetera, is an underlying feeling of insecurity rooted in some shame born of trauma. There are so many articles I've read out there and so many things in books that suggest that all narcissists are of the compensatory or more neurotic type, where childhood scars and trauma and toxic feelings of shame led them to develop compensatory strategies and the desire to not only look capable and perfect, but also to be seen that way by others as a way of mending their inner sense of shame and fragile, that's the term used most often, supposed fragile underlying self image. I'm here to tell you emphatically that although these notions can be true in some cases, it is wrong and dangerous to assume that those things are true in the majority of cases, especially these days. You can become an egotistical, self centered, relatively uncaring so and so because you were either discounted or damaged or overly shamed, etc., as a child. That can happen. But indulged, entitled, spoiled little brats also become toxic relationship partners. There are many things that can contribute to a person's character development. And also contributing are some innate qualities, including sometimes a lack of a capacity for empathy, an innate inability to experience empathy, or an impaired capacity to develop empathy. There's plenty of empirical evidence for this. Also, an incapacity, a relative incapacity to experience shame, or an innate tendency to abhor any sense of shame that a person might experience. And shame itself has gotten a bad rap because it's been universally seen as damaging and harmful. And while certain types of shame, especially unwarranted shame, can be toxic and can be detrimental to a person's character formation and their sense of self, not all shame is bad. I've written about this many times. Yes, it is somewhat more important to feel bad about what we do that's not good, which is the essence of guilt, as opposed to feeling badly about ourselves and who we are, which is the essence of shame. But some things should give us pause about the type of person that we have allowed ourselves to become, or the way we want to be in life. And it's a certain kind of shamelessness that characterizes the most malignant kinds of narcissists, who act without compunction, who look in the mirror and find no fault. And I'm here to tell you, with mounds of clinical experience in working with some of the most disturbed populations, that no one that I have ever worked with, that I have witnessed a clear turning around of their lives. There are a few. I've seen it happen. Folks who have seen the light come to their senses. To a person, guilt was not the driving factor. I know people who have felt badly every time they did the unthinkable, but it never stopped them from doing it again. Rather, it was when a person took that look in the mirror and no longer was satisfied with the person they saw that real, genuine changes came about. Shame did for them what guilt could not possibly do for them. There's a lot of information out there. Much of it is just flat out wrong. Some of the things you read about can indeed be the case, but to assume that they're the case is very dangerous in these character disturbed times, which is why I have written so much about the subject and tried to put the information in very understandable terms, putting things in a way that resonate and that I hope you can understand. So I'll be talking about the relative incapacity of all the various narcissistic types to truly and genuinely love, shamelessness often being just one of those factors. I'll be talking about other factors in the coming editions of the New Character Matters program. Until next time, I'm Dr. George Simon. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.